All right, Forge fans, this is it. It is upon us. It's match day. It's Forge FC on the road in Winnipeg taking on Valour FC Wednesday night kickoff time, 8 o'clock Eastern. The first of back-to-back matches at Winnipeg against Valour. The second one coming on the weekend. First things first, though, match number one, Valour and Forge FC. Forge in third spot on the CPL table with 36 points after 20 matches. They're 3 points out of top spot. That's being held down by Atletico Ottawa. They have 39 points. Cavalry has 37. Forge with 36. Forge, though, they played two less matches than both Atletico and Cavalry, so they are still in the driver's seat. They just have to do something with those matches in hand, and one of those matches in hand are come this week. So this is the opportunity for Forge. We've been talking about these matches in hand all season, but it doesn't mean much if you don't do something with it and at least get a point out of it. Forge, though, definitely hungry for three. In fourth place, those are your playoff teams right now, right? Top four go to the postseason. 1v4, 2v3. Pacific right now holding down the fourth spot. They are 1 point back of Forge. Forge still has one game in hand on Pacific. Valour, though, Forge's opponent, very hungry. In fact, starving. They're in must-win mode. They need 3 points every match. Now, can they still get into a playoff spot without running the table? Of course. But if you're Valour, you're approaching these matches as must-win. And they want this one against Forge, who they're 6 points behind and have two matches against back-to-back. So it's a huge week for Valour, and Forge will have to match that level of desperation if they want to come out of Winnipeg with those 3 points. So here are your three keys to the match presented by Volkswagen for Forge FC to come out on top. Key number one, Bermuda Triangle. Now, for those of you familiar with the Bermuda Triangle, you can just stop listening for the next few seconds, but otherwise known as the Devil's Triangle, that urban legend focused on the loosely defined region in the western part of the northern Atlantic Ocean where a number of aircraft and ships supposedly disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Forge's triangles disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And Bobby Smirniotis, Forge FC's technical director, talked about this after the loss to Atletico Ottawa. Those triangles, essentially, when you're playing in triangles, you have three players within close proximity to one another that can move the ball and to create, in other words, you at least have two options every single time the ball's on your foot, ideally. So you get the ball, you look up, you should have two options. You're forming a triangle with two other players. And that's the way Forge want to play, and that's how they want to attack. And especially in the wide areas of the field, between the winger, the midfielder on that side, and the fullback. Those three typically play in those triangles. Those weren't there against Atletico Ottawa. And it's not that Ottawa was defending them. Forge, to be able to play in those triangles, you need a lot of movement off the ball. You need players to be available for you. And just off the ball, Forge just didn't quite have it there. And it's something Bobby talked about after the last match, and it's something they want to get back to. Attacking, it is so difficult to defend those triangles, especially when you're a team that plays in that low block. Every week, it seems like we were talking about a low block that Forge is playing against, and that's how teams are going to defend Forge, and it's been effective. Atletico Ottawa did it, masterfully in that last match, and it's not easy to execute. It seems easy. You just park the bus and you sit back. Well, no, because it takes a lot of discipline to play and to maintain your shape when the attacking team is trying to break you down. Atletico did a fine job. Valour is really good at it, and for Forge to be able to break down those blocks, they need to play in those triangles. And that really comes down to movement off the ball and making smart runs and making those smart movements. So Bermuda Triangle disappeared. We're looking to get it back against Valour in Winnipeg. Key number two for Forge FC. Ready, set. Set pieces. Valour FC gets a lot of dangerous opportunities off their set pieces. So if you're Forge, how do you avoid this? You can avoid set pieces in a number of ways, and it comes down to smart tackling and avoiding some of those bad fouls that come when you're out of position. And when Forge is giving up fouls in dangerous areas, it's because Forge likes to play that aggressive style. But when you turn the ball over, or if the other club is able to force a turnover, Valour, by the way, one of the better clubs in the league when it comes to intercepting passes. And that speaks to how well they play that low block, because that's a big component of those blocks, is intercepting passes. And Forge have been caught a couple of times, and that'll happen. So Forge will have to remain patient and not get caught out of position. And you have to be able to, if you do get into situations where you're having to defend a set piece, I mean, this is what you practice. This is what you train for. It's not like you can be caught off guard on a set piece. It really just comes down to defending and doing all the right things. It's a mental game at that point, and then you're reacting after the ball's kicked. So Forge FC, they don't want to give up anything easy in this one. They're the better club. They're going to possess the ball. If Valour is going to win this match, it's going to be because Forge makes some mistakes, or they're just not playing the game they're capable of playing. Don't give up any freebies. If you're giving up set pieces, make sure they're at least not in dangerous areas. And if you can't help that, because sometimes you just can't, it's the sport. Teams are going to get free kicks. They're going to get corners. It's the nature of the beast. In those situations, Forge has to be very... let's just say there has to be poise, there has to be focus, and they have to make sure they don't give Valour any opportunities to score on set pieces. And if they do, make sure they defend them properly. Force Valour to work for their chances, for their goals. Force them to attack. Force them to score in open play. Force them to score off of ball movement and runs and getting the ball in dangerous areas inside the box. If you're Forge, hey, If that's how Valour wants to attack, we'll take it. Make them work as hard as possible to get their opportunities. Key number 3 for Forge FC. Stop the slop. There have been times through this losing skid, we'll call it a winless skid. Now winless in their last 3 matches with 2 losses and a draw. There have been a lot of sloppy plays. And when I say don't give the opponent any easy ones, they've been doing that. In their losses, they've done it. And, against Atletico, Ottawa got some very dangerous... Tristan Henry had to be very good in this one because Ottawa had some chances. And it came off of some of those sloppy plays. And a lot of times, it's just their turnovers. It's frustrating to play against teams that defend the way a lot of these clubs in the CPL do. And Forge is going to be facing this week after week after week. And when they do, they have to be careful. You can't just pass the ball into these blocks. And when that happens, these clubs, they're preparing for it all week. So they're also prepared to counter. You can be sure that when clubs are facing Forge the whole week leading up to it and the days leading up to it in training, they are working on their counter because that's how clubs want to beat Forge. They're going to wait for them to be aggressive, sit back, create the turnover, and then quickly pounce. And I actually asked head coach and technical director for Forge FC, Bobby Smirniotis, in his pre-match press conference, how do you defend against a counter? Is it even defendable? Is it just something you have to deal with? Here's what Bobby had to say.
Yeah, I think your rest defense has to be very good. So the structure and you hold when you attack, the structure you hold defensively has to be there, and it's a level of concentration. Now, there's always going to be counterattacks in the game. If one team has majority of possession, another team is always going to have an opportunity. Doesn't matter who it is, and we look at it. So you just got to be prepared for that. You got to have that in your mind, and you have to be, sharp in those moments and making sure that the recovery is happening not only from the guys in your rest defense structure, but from all 11 players on the pitch. And that's something that we traditionally do very well. We have been doing well. We were very well in the last game against Ottawa in that, and I expect the same.
All right, so Forge FC will look to stop the slop. Ready, set, defend those set pieces or avoid them altogether. And the Bermuda Triangle, finding the triangle. The triangle was lost in the Bermuda Triangle. They have to get that triangular play back because it's such a key piece of their attack. Those are your 3 keys presented by Volkswagen. And I want to remind you, this week, myself and Jessica Lisi interviewed the new commissioner of the Canadian Premier League, Mark Noonan. That interview, you can listen to it in its entirety. He talked about, officiating in the CPL, VAR, video replay, video review, whatever you want to call it, to assist the referees in some of these matches. Remember Kyle Becker's goal against Atletico Ottawa, that was not counted a goal because no one saw it cross the line. So the commission talked about that, league expansion, marketing, supporter groups like the Battalion, so many great things. We had questions, by the way, thank you fans, because you submitted some fantastic questions that we were able to relay to the commissioner, and we got some great answers. So check that interview out. Otherwise, the next time we will talk to you will be after the Valour Forge match. It'll be the match in review, so stay tuned for that. And before we let you go, I need to remind you of a fantastic promotion happening at Tim Hortons Field in September. It's the September special. The next home match for Forge will be September 10th, 5 p.m., Tim Hortons Field, Forge FC and Cavalry FC. You know that'll be a good one. Two of the OG rivals who will be playing for playoff seeding at that point. Both clubs will likely be competing for first place at this point. So it's a big match as it is. For $29.99, you get a gold level ticket. So you get a great seat, and included in your price, you get a bench beer sampling courtesy of Bench Brewing Company. That's Forge FC Bench teaming up for a September special. That offer is available now. Head on over to forgefc.ca to cash in. All right. Enjoy Valour and Forge, and we'll talk to you soon.
We are the Forge, the mighty, mighty Forge. You just don't think you understand.
Forge FC is ready, and now you are too. This has been 3 Keys to the Match on the Forge Audio Network. Keep up to date on your Forge FC by subscribing to the Forge Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.